This is Gabby Ray Talker. In this video, I will address some questions that have been asked. Question 1 asks, Gabby, will you be doing any more Bobbi Kristina videos? From here, the main things that I'll cover is the outcome of the civil case and if arrest is made for the criminal investigation. Now, as far as Leola Brown, I will not be reporting on the media propaganda machine unless she presents legitimate evidence that appears to be authentic. At this point, I have not seen it. You can't just point at someone and say you're guilty. You have to have evidence of it, and what I see from her, I don't see it. Even in this case, for example, one of Bobbi Kristina nurses was found to be fake. Of course, Leola Brown would try to get into the spotlight from this and say that this fake nurse is because of Pat Houston, which makes no sense. As I said before, if Leola Brown wants to accuse someone of something, she has to have evidence, which I have not seen. As far as Bobbi Kristina's nurse, she was brought up on charges as impersonating a nurse with a license, which she did not have. There is nothing in reports that mentions how Bobbi Kristina's care might have affected. Duluth police say that the case is under investigation. If any information emerges stating that this woman's care contributed to Bobbi Kristina's death, I will be reporting on that. Next question asking, are you going to make an updated version of the unauthorized documentary that you made about Bobbi Kristina now that she has passed away? My answer is I have made several video updates after Bobbi Kristina passed, and I also made an updated version of the documentary on the day that she passed. I'll leave a link right here for you to view. Moving on to the next question, which asks, Gabby, what do you think about Pat Houston? Do you think she has anything to do with Bobbi Kristina dying, RBX? My answer is I have done extensive research on Pat Houston, and I have not found any evidence that would point to Pat Houston being involved in some murder plot. Here's a video that I done in the past on Pat Houston, and you can review this for more details on that matter. Moving on to the next question, which asks, Gabby, do you think Leola Brown had anything to do with the death of Bobbi Kristina? She really tried to take the spotlight in the tragedy of Bobbi Kristina and blaming Pat with no evidence. Then she totally disrespected her niece's funeral. Still, she is trying to stay in the spotlight. What do you think about her? My answer to that is I have done extensive research on Leola Brown, and she really seemed to try to benefit from this situation by staying in the spotlight more than any other family member. If you really look at the full picture of both Whitney Houston and Bobbi Kristina, Leola Brown was actually the first one to come out before the public and say that Whitney Houston was murdered. And then with Bobbi Kristina dying, she's the one that seems to be pointing fingers again, like there's some ulterior motive here, and it doesn't seem right, and people really need to look at this. Investigators really need to look at this. I did a couple videos on her, and I'll leave the links here. Moving on to my next question, which asks, if Nick Gordon can be sued civilly for the wrongful death of Bobbi Kristina, then why wasn't he criminally charged first? British laws are different from American laws, and I am confused as to why Nick Gordon is being civilly sued by Bobbi Kristina's family if he has not been criminally charged. Please explain. Thank you. RBX. Okay, to the person that asked this question, it would have been helpful if you left an example of a British law or laws that you're referring to, because I don't know anything about British laws of what you are talking about in comparison to an American law or law that you're referring to. But to answer your question, it's going to be a long one. Let me start by saying, in America, we can file any type of lawsuit with alleged evidence. But the thing is, we must present evidence consisting of facts that support our claims. We must show that something was more likely to have occurred than not in a civil case. First, let me explain about the American court system in regards to civil and criminal cases. The standard of proof is very different in a criminal case versus a civil case. In a criminal case, crimes must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning that the evidence presented must show that no other logical explanation can be found from the facts except that the defendant committed the crime. On the other hand, civil cases must be proven by preponderance of evidence, meaning that the evidence must show that something occurred in a way proving that something was more likely to have occurred than not. Most often, the end result in winning a civil suit is less severe than a criminal case, and the civil suit ends in a financial judgment. Some would ask, why sue Nick Gordon civilly if he has not been charged criminally? Reason one would be an attempt from Bobbi Kristina's family to prevent Nick Gordon from taking anything else from Bobbi Kristina's estate. Reason number two is that the family may be using the lawsuit to assist the criminal investigation in pressing charges against Gordon. At this point, a winning judgment in the civil case against Gordon would not only be a financial win, but it would be damaging enough to prove he's a liar, a thief, a batterer, and possible killer towards being criminally charged. As far as the criminal investigation, this is obviously going to take some time, but a winning judgment in a civil case would help to speed that process up. I would think, and I believe this is why the family is suing civilly before criminal charges have been made against Gordon. And I hope that answers your question. In addition to that answer, I would also like to say that sometimes with criminal investigations, it may take some time. With Bobbi Kristina criminal investigation, there's two sides that's saying two different things. On one side, there's Bobbi Kristina's estate stating that Nick Gordon is responsible, and on the other hand, you have Nick Gordon's defense team saying that Bobbi Kristina took too many drugs. At this point, the investigators must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Nick Gordon is guilty in order to make an arrest. For this reason, investigators are following procedure on the investigative process. And there's one last thing I would like to say, and questions I would like to ask in regards to this case, but I would like to ask them to the investigators. Okay guys, my question number one is, if Nick Gordon knew that Bobbi Kristina was taking a lot of drugs that morning before he left her room, and if he knew Bobbi Kristina was starting to take a bath in a drugged up state, then why would he leave the room if she was drugged up running a bath? According to Radar Online, Bobbi Kristina's neighbor stated that Bobbi Kristina was scared of taking baths. And my question is, if she was scared of taking baths and she was drugged up, why would Gordon just simply walk out the room? This shows he didn't care. Question number 3. If Gordon was so concerned about Bobbi Kristina's well-being, why was he so focused on cleaning? According to the lawsuit, a dustpan was in the water when the friends took her out. And when Nick Gordon first came to the room, it states he first went to the bathtub and let the water out and stated, "Clean up, clean up." Question number 4. Why was Gordon so focused on cleaning up the blood before the ambulance arrived, according to several media reports? Although it was obvious that Bobbi Kristina drowned in her tub, how did Nick Gordon know exactly that Bobbi Kristina died from drugs when she was found in a tub without even questioning the friends that found her? According to a TMZ article, one of the Browns recorded Nick Gordon on the phone after the incident, stating that the drugs did her in, with no suspicion or no mention of the friends that found her. And this concludes my report. This is Gabby Ray Talker. Come follow me on my social networks and at www.isoclassifieds.com. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.